Sangria, unbelievably refreshing and actually unbelievably easy to do. Let's make some sangria. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up our ingredients. We're gonna put it in our big old glass and we're gonna muddle them. And then we're gonna add fresh ingredients. Then we're gonna add our wine, our Cointreau, our agave, and we're gonna finish it off with a little club soda. So let's first get all of our ingredients cut. I'm gonna do a little bit of fresh mint. And every sangria recipe is different. They're gonna say do this, put this in there. You can make a white sangria. I like mine a little more herbaceous, so I'm doing mint and just a pinch of rosemary, because rosemary is really, really powerful. So that's going in. We're gonna do our orange. Look at that beautiful orange, wow. And as I'm cutting this, I'm gonna make my garnish, because this is gonna go in our other glass. When you're making sangria, you can use any kind of wine you want. You can use Merlot, or Tempranillo, Pinot Noir, but when it really comes down to it, use your old wine. Because we're gonna add so much stuff to this. We're gonna add so much citrus and some like Cointreau, some like, you know, that triple sec flavor. We're gonna add agave. You can add sugar if you don't have agave or honey. We're gonna add so much stuff to it that you can just use old wine. It's gonna be fine. Everybody says not to do that, but I'm telling you that we're adding so much stuff to this and it's gonna marinate for 24 hours. You can add old wine to it and it's fine. I'm just using, I got a little bit of, so we got a little Tempranillo here, which is gonna have a little more acidity, but any dry red wine. Lemons, so we're doing oranges, lemons, little mint, rosemary. Let's do a little more orange. Let's do a little more orange. It's not gonna, the orange flavor is like, you know, you can add a little bit of orange juice to this if you have some orange juice, but I kind of like the natural, just like fresh acidity of all that citrus in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lightly muddle this. I'm not gonna go too hard. I just kind of want to break up that citrus and kind of mix it with those herbs. We're gonna do a little apple. I didn't muddle the apple because I don't want to break up the apple in there. Once again, this is one of those things you can just, if you don't have all this apple, you don't have all the berries, you don't have all these things I'm putting in there, just some red wine, any fruit you have, it can be pineapple, any fruit you have mixed with sugar and a little bit of herbs, you're gonna have amazing sangria. So you don't have to really go too hardcore on what you're putting in here. I'm just putting these in here because this is what I have. And I got some lady apples from the farmer's market and I tasted them, I'm like, oh my God, that'd make a great sangria. And our drink right here. Put our berries in. Just cut the tops off your strawberries. Just kind of want to, you don't want them too thin though. Don't slice too thin, or as it marinates, it's gonna break them down a little too much. And it's gonna be like, kind of like just like, it's kind of just, it's a little too wet. But if you kind of break them, and I would say like just kind of thick, but not too thin. You want a little thickness on them. And also use fruit that's in season. Always use fruit that's in season, because that's really gonna add a lot of your flavor. We're in Southern California, so like it's very rare that I eat a fruit in season. I'm like, ugh, we're kind of a little spoiled out here. This is gonna make that sangria taste, I mean, just that extra like, oh my God, that's really good. Those go in there, little mint, sprig of rosemary in there. Let's get our wine. Let me show you a little trick for the wine, by the way. You can do it the classic way. You can do this, cut it. A lot of wines, a lot, unfortunately. You can just pull the top off like that. And let me show you how to use one of these cats. When you're using one of these wine openers, and it has kind of the bendy part right here, and I'm gonna show you how you do that. So you wanna go in to the middle of your wine and turn, and you have that. Now, if you're at a fancy restaurant, you never wanna turn the bottle, you wanna do this, so they can always see the label, kind of things like that. If you're at home, just have fun, just who cares? If you're at home, just twist it in. Doesn't matter how you do it. So twist it in, and there's these two parts right here. There's a part that kind of goes in right here. You can see I'm pushing it in, and there's a part that's down here. Two different lips. There's a lip right here, and a lip right here. The first lip, you push in, and that's to get it started while you pull up. So push that first lip in, pull up. That's as far as I can pull. Then the second lip comes into play right here. See that second lip? That second lip, you go And that's how to open a wine bottle. We're actually using pretty good wine. We're gonna add a little bit of agave. You can use honey, you can use actual sugar. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of agave, just to kind of really make it that, you know, sweet, refreshing drink. And then you can use triple sec. Cointreau is kind of expensive for something like this, but you can use triple sec, Cointreau, just a little bit of like that orange liqueur flavor. Now you can measure it out. I use a capful for something like this. For a 750 milliliter bottle, I'll use a capful. That's enough triple sec. A capful is enough. So a capful plus a little, how you do, is about a quarter cup. So a quarter cup of that triple sec. Now comes the moment of truth. I like to just give it a little shimmy shake, give it a little shimmy, and now we're gonna add in our wine, which makes it the sangria. Now let me show you a little wine trick. You can just sit here and do this, and just pour it in, you know, just like that. But if you're doing like a high volume, let's say you're doing 5 of these, I work in restaurants. I've always needed to put like 25 bottles of wine into a stock. So I'm sitting there with 25 bottles and it's taking me forever pouring it. So I learned a little trick. It's called the tornado. You do this. See how I just did a turn? And that's how to get a whole bottle of wine out in seconds. Little tornado trick. This whole mix right here, you want to put this in your fridge for 24 hours. Now, you can probably serve this 3 hours after. It's gonna be all right. But this is one of those things where don't cheat it. You've already cut all this fruit up. You've already got the wine. You've already bought everything. It's a lot of stuff. So don't cheat yourself. Completely and utterly let it rest. Let it just sit in that fridge for 24 hours and just develop. All this fruit macerates together and just becomes delicious. That kind of sugar kind of is now dissolved in everything. The mint breaks down and all the oils come out of the rosemary. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, if you serve this 3 hours after, you're at a 2. If you serve this 24 hours after, you're probably at, I would say, an 11. That's how good it is. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for 24 hours. So, we have one marinated for 24 hours. We have our glass full of fresh fruit. You don't have to do this. You can just spoon the old fruit into here. It's a chef thing. I want to make it look good. So I have the fresh fruit kind of already in my glass. That's who I am. But you can absolutely, at home, just use your macerated fruit that's already in your container. Right in. What am I doing? Who am I fooling? We don't need that. We don't need that thing. We can go right in. And here's where it gets fun. You can just serve it like this with a little bit of ice. This is perfectly fine just like this with some ice. 120% fine. If you want to take it to the next level, I add a splash of club soda or a little tonic, whatever one you want. And that makes it just that extra little bit of refreshing. And I have to. It's the chef in me. I got to kind of throw a little garnish in and just make it that extra little bit more beautiful. And this makes an extraordinarily refreshing drink. This is my version of sangria. When you just look at this, you're like, oh my gosh, I know I'm about to be refreshed with that beautiful sangria. I already know it's gonna be so tasty because I know the ingredients, if I can taste it in my head, but every sip of that is a little tiny bit of that orange from the Cointreau. All that macerated fruit has given it so much flavor, and the herbaceousness of the mint and that little bit of rosemary. Honestly, that's like, I know a lot of people don't put that in their sangria, but I think you have to from now on because it adds something so cool. It adds so much more depth. And I like that splash of tonic water. That's not part of a sangria. You don't really have to do that, but that splash of tonic water just is so refreshing. Make the sangria. Tell me what you think. Really refreshing. Hi everybody, if you like this cocktail and you like my videos, go ahead and like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the views, and I really appreciate, you tuning in and seeing me make this stuff.